The other thing I want to bring up too, before we run out of time here, the quarterly events I think are the best, but we have at least one education type part of most of the monthly meetings. But the quarterly one, when we'll use the last one in June, because I think that was a good example.
Fabulous.
Of a broad variety. And I was there representing one of the groups, but I heard great things about the other two areas and speakers too. So maybe we can talk about, what that's going to was, and then I'm assuming that's going to be part of the quarterly meetings going forward.
Yes.
From now on to have those breakouts.
That's how we designed it. We designed it to have 3 breakout sessions, and they're about 30 minutes long. So you can attend 2 of those prior to the keynote speaker. And in this last one, we had Terry Flower from down the Cottage Grove area. And Terry is very active in the fight that we had against this eminent domain, where we actually made a change in eminent domain, which was the first time ever in the state for a group like this to make a change. But he spoke on the myths of global warming. Oh my gosh, have I been getting calls about how much they liked him speaking on that. Then we had our very own constitutional scholar, Dave Benner, who is educated as a teacher, but as a technician, a computer tech with a company. But he spoke on it's a republic if you can keep it. He is one of our most requested speakers that we get, and this is his second time doing this. And then we had a hot issue that has to be brought up and talked about and dealt with, and that is Common Core. This Common Core issue is frightening. And we had Linda Bell come in on our June 12th meeting and do a teaser for that. And an advertisement, and then we billed her all the way through up to that event, which was 7 days. And she filled up the rooms teaching about why to oppose Common Core. And again, her organization tying with our organization, again gives great strength to making changes where they have to be made.
Yep. So no, I think that hopefully gives everybody an indication of what it is. And if they've got questions, again, the website, again, now for the podcast, is there a link then on your
Yes,
website
there
to
is.
that? Okay,
Yep.
I want to make sure that they are able to get to it.
Yes, when you go to www.teaparty.mn, you can get to where the meetings are located, the Living Free podcast, and other information. But the Living Free podcast, the easiest way to pick it up is to go to iTunes, type in Living Free and download it, and that's how I have it. That's how I have Tom Woods, and that's how I have other good ones.
Okay. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of information on that. Hopefully some of the myths about the Tea Party are, and please join us. If you can get to one of these meetings, yes. We don't really care. We will welcome you no matter what your political position, because we are not a political party. That's one thing I think we didn't necessarily say specifically, but
Absolutely,
we aren't. We are, even though it says Tea Party, we're not a party.
We're attacked like a party.
Well, we are. we are, but we're a grassroots organization that wants to make a difference in our country. Specifically, Minnesota Tea Party Alliance is Minnesota-based. We want to, and what Jack said is very true, we want to concentrate on the local issues and the local parties, the county and city, and moving up to the state, and really don't get into much political unless it's attacking that. So
I got to make one comment about that. There's a lot of good Tea Parties in this state.
Yep.
Minnesota Tea Party Alliance is dedicated to the state of Minnesota. And so the question I get is, I get tons of fund requests from tons of Tea Parties. Which one should I give to? Now, keep in mind, I'm not objective here, but if you live in the state of Minnesota, give to the Minnesota Tea Party Alliance, because it's going to go to serve your needs.
Okay. I want to quickly, we got about 8 minutes, get into, because this will be out before, we do have a primary coming up on August 12th, everyone. No matter what party you're in, and I want to preface this is, Minnesota has their primaries based on party.
Yes.
So you do get a ballot different than the general, where it is party by party. So if you are part of the Democrat Party, the Independence Party, Libertarian Party, I'm not sure if they get a ballot or not, but I think they might, or the Republican Party. I think the major ones, you have to decide which ballot you're going to have to begin with, and then you're going to have to go through that and determine who on the different races you're going to vote for. So we're going to go again based on Minnesota, and there is a primary, I think, at all of these levels. So we'll start with U.S. Senate. U.S. Senate has a primary going on for the Independence Party, for the Republican Party, and for the Democratic Party. Each one of those has an endorsed candidate, and then the other people that are running are non-endorsed. So a little history is Minnesota has a caucus system whereby the endorsement process is by the delegates from each of the parties to their caucus and goes to a state convention. But we also have the mechanism in our state legislature to have primaries. So I call it a hybrid because we're not totally caucus, which screws up a lot of people. They think because we're very unique. There are only 4 or 5 that have caucuses, maybe.
Yeah. Something like that.
And we're a hybrid because you can go to the primary, and that's what we have now. So we have primaries coming up again August 12th, which is the second Tuesday in August. Best time of the year to be out voting when everybody's up at the lake. But with the new law change, you don't need to have an excuse or lie to get an absentee ballot. So if you can't make it, get an absentee ballot.
Right.
So according to the sheet here, this is off the Secretary of State's office. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people on the independent side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the Republican side, and 1, 2 on the Democratic side for the U.S. Senate. So go to the Secretary of State's office under My Ballot, put in your zip code, and that'll give you can print out a ballot. That's what I've got here for mine. So then we also have the governor is up this year. So the governor and lieutenant governor are up. The Independence Party has 1 person, so I guess that's not really a primary. Republicans have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the Democrats have 1, 2, 3 people up. And again, I know 2 of those parties are endorsed. I'm guessing the Independence is endorsed because I think they have one. Then also we have Secretary of State that has a primary. 2 independents, 1 Republican, and 3 Democrats. And then state auditor, 1 independent, 1 Republican, and 2 DFLs are running for state auditor. And then attorney general, Republicans have 2, independents have 1, and it looks like DFL has only 1. So
Let's talk about them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's start with the governor because when we're in Minnesota, if we have time, we'll get back up to the Senate.
Yep. Keep in mind, the Minnesota Tea Party Alliance does not endorse candidates.
Right.
But that doesn't excuse me from having the ability to say if I have a preference personally. So what I'm about to tell you is not an endorsement by the Tea Party, but this is a preference I have personally. I happen to watch this man for better than a year come to our tea parties and talk. I've watched him going back to 2010 come to our tea parties and pitch in and help and address issues and help us. That's Jeff Johnson, because I hold him up to our core principles, and he is those core principles. And it was very difficult for me at the state convention because I feel the same way about Dave Thompson. And I voted for both of them during the endorsement process. And it hurt. In fact, I left the floor when Dave Thompson came up and gave his concession speech because I love these 2 guys as hard as they work. And I want you to know that I really support Jeff Johnson, okay? And you'll probably see me marching with a shirt on or something. The other people in the race, I have questions about, and I don't have all the answers to them, but we've had everybody on that list other than Merrill Anderson at all 7 tea parties, addressing the tea parties. Right. And Jeff and Dave would say that if I can't make it because of bad weather, you've memorized my stump speech, Jack, please give it for me. But in reality, they would speak briefly and answer tons of questions that people ask. I just think that's so honorable. Just put yourself out there and to say, this is how I would deal with it. This is how I would deal with it. And some of the other people didn't necessarily do that. They would come up with a stump speech and then get angry or frustrated or whatever because we don't select questions. We don't write them down and screen them. Anybody can ask a question.
They're from the audience.
They're from the audience.
100%, yeah.
And they ask some weird questions sometimes, but they ask hard questions. So I want you to know that. But I also want you to know I was in a parade up at Zimmerman, and Scott Honor was walking, I think, the first parade of the year for us. And I took photographs of him and Tom Emmer because I was walking, and I shared a few ideas with Scott to be more effective while walking in a parade. It doesn't mean that anything other than I would do the same for any person willing to run for office out there.
Yep.
And Scott said, "Thank you, I appreciate that, Jack." So that's how I am. But Jeff Johnson has my vote 100% going into the primaries.
Then maybe we've got about a minute. Maybe we just go to the U.S. Senate and let people know, who's running in that one. That we know, because when I pull this up, there's 3 people on there that I don't know because they weren't part of the endorsement process at all. So the endorsed candidate for Republicans is Mike McFadden. And then Jim Abler was the other one that went for the endorsement. And there's 3 people on here that I don't know anything about, so I can't say anything good, bad, or indifferent other than, please go out, to the Minnesota Secretary of State's website and inform you. Because that's really, it's the biggest thing is go out and do your research. Because that's the most important thing. We don't make decisions. We provide information for you to make your decision, just like on this show. I have an opinion, Jack has an opinion. I hope it doesn't come across that that's the only opinion out there.
No.
Because we don't have all the facts. I'm a human being. I've made mistakes at least twice this year already.
Yep.
That I admit to. Yeah. That's a joke for me.
Oh, Jake will tell you I make plenty of mistakes.
Yeah. So
let's talk about the U.S. Senate race for a minute. First of all, I got to acknowledge that I am friends with Jim Abler. But again, I have not taken a position with anybody at the U.S. Senate so far. I'm having problems establishing a good process of vetting. For example, Mike McFadden. The ball lies in his court, my court, for us to sit down and meet and do it privately so I can establish some things. I want to know what covenants he's going to make with the people that are going to take precedence over money or influence by other groups. That kind of thing. Jim Abler and I are talking about his voting record. And that continues. So that's where I'm at on it.
Yep. So please do go out and vote, get an absentee ballot or whatever for, again, that's August 12th, and do your research. Go out to, like I said, go out to the Minnesota Secretary of State's office and get your ballot. So that half hour went by faster than the first one. I think that timer was off.
Yeah.
So, but Jack, appreciate your time and effort.
Thank you for having me.
Again.
Thank you, and continue
closer to the general election. We'll have you back again, and we'll book more time because then we'll know exactly who's going against everybody.
Yep.
So thank you, everyone, and have a good day.
Thank you for having me, Ron.